49ers versus Rams has a different feel, but there's still a very important game for the San Francisco 49ers and for the Los Angeles Rams. The winner of this matchup keeps their season going in a positive direction. The loser, in case of the Rams, would put them at 0-3. And for the 49ers, they'd be on a 2-game losing streak, including a divisional loss to the Rams. We're going to go through all the key matchups. We're going to talk about some Wow That's Bold predictions. And at the end, I'm going to pick the winner of this football game. It's going to be a lot of fun, this episode of 49ers Cutback.
From the alley-oops at Kezar to the glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way. From off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback podcast time. Welcome to the game preview show. These are always some of my favorite episodes that I do because you don't just talk about the players, but you start talking about the key matchups and getting into the game plan of what the 49ers and Rams plan on doing against each other, which is why we watch football, to see how the chess pieces move and how each team plans on attacking each other. But there's a lot of injuries for both football teams. For the San Francisco 49ers, now that George Kittle is listed as doubtful, it's pretty apparent now that he's not going to play in this football game. Now, Charvarius Ward, Nick Bosa, they were limited in practice on Friday, and they are capable of potentially playing. So they're going to be more of a game time decision. Both listed as questionable means they have a shot. So we're not ready to rule out them yet, and so I'm going to refer to them as playing in this game until it is deemed otherwise, which doesn't have to happen until Sunday. But for the reason of it being doubtful for George Kittle, we're gonna just act like George Kittle's out. He wasn't ruled out, but doubtful, close enough, right? He's going to be out of this football game, and so he won't be a part of the key matchups for the 49ers, which is going to be difficult because now you're turning to a veteran in Eric Saubert and also a young player in Jake Tunges, but still, your tight end room just took a big hit. All-pro George Kittle was someone the 49ers were going to have to count on against the Rams, and it would have been a good matchup. They've got injuries at safety. John Johnson's going to be out, which means you were going to have an opportunity to go against Cameron Curl and Cameron Kitchens for George Kittle, or Roseboom, the linebacker. Those were advantages 49ers. Now the advantages have to change. And so that's why this game plan is so interesting. And the Rams, they're not going to feel sorry for anyone that's dealing with injuries because they are absolutely ravaged by injury. Their offensive line has taken huge hits, including big-time players like Steve Avila that are out of this football game. So they aren't going to have any remorse for what happens to the 49ers. They don't care. They just know they got to go out there and play, and that's what it is right now. Next man up mentality for both of these football teams. It's going to be a lot of fun. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. If you're listening on audio platform, 49ers Cutback on Believe, please give it a 5-star rating. And lots of people listening lately, so I really appreciate you guys coming on board. And if you're going to bet with Bet Online. Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. Bet Online is every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. You think you know your stuff? Get in on our $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200,000. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Bet Online, the game starts here. So injuries has been the story this week. Of course, 49ers, it looked like they were coming out of last game unscathed, minus the Deebo Samuel calf strain that's keeping him out of the game. And then all of a sudden on Thursday, the injury report comes that we've got Charvarius Ward dealing with soreness with the knee/hamstring, and you've got George Kittle dealing with a hamstring as well. And then all of a sudden it was Nick Bosa's limited because he's dealing with a rib. Those things are having ripple effects through the way that Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers plan to attack the Rams. And the Rams' offense and defense have been absolutely reeling this year because of injury. And you have the question marks about their depth, anyways, coming into the year. They were definitely a lot younger when it came to key depth pieces for this football team. And unfortunately for them, they were really healthy over the last 5 years. Last year, they were the most healthy team in the NFL. Well, this year, it is not that way. It is coming after them and coming after them in a big way. And so the Rams are trying to hold this thing together. They're trying to make it until they can get their star players, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, get the offensive weapons like Tyler Higbee back. So that way Matthew Stafford has the big weapons he needs to get rid of the football. But it's not just key weapons. They're also missing offensive linemen, ravaged across the board. They're having to start a rookie center in Bo Limmer. They had Alaric Jackson, who was suspended. Now he's returning, so that's good news for them. But it's just injury after injury after injury to key players. Their kickers dealing with a groin. The safety Johnson dealing with an injury. He's going to be out 5 to 6 weeks. It has just been a catastrophic start to the season for the Rams. And you're looking at a situation where they're playing the 49ers at home, which should have been a game they could have competed and potentially had a shot. But we know that the 49ers play well in LA. The 49er fans are going to be over halfway of that crowd in SoFi Stadium. That's why they call it Levi's South. But the Rams got to come in there and try to figure out how to get a win. And so we've got to detail how exactly the 49ers plan to attack the Rams and plan to attack them on offense and defense, because this Rams football team is not the team that people thought they were going to be. I don't think there was a pundit around the league that believed the Los Angeles Rams were going to be 0-2 heading into this game with the 49ers. And so they're running the risk of going 0-3. And we know 0-3 is not a good way to start the season. Usually your chances of making the playoffs diminish, extensively. It's not good for you. So the Rams, they're looking at a case where Kupp's going to be out for a while, and so is Puka Nacua, where the wheels could fall off. But a win against the 49ers would make it so they are able to withstand some of the injuries. They'll start getting guys back, and maybe this could help turn their season around. So this is a pivotal game for both teams. 49ers just lost a heartbreaker to the Minnesota Vikings, where they didn't play their best football. And now they're without two of their biggest weapons to put along with Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle and with Deebo Samuel. And they've got to adjust this offense to not having those guys. So let's do what we always do. Let's go and take a look at the coaching staffs. That'll start giving us the clear picture on what the game plans are going to look like. And of course, I always evaluate 49ers games, but I also go and watch the opponents as well. So I've already watched both Rams football games, broke it down, seeing what each one of the coaches do, so we can get a clear picture on what the 49ers offense and defense plan on doing. Now, does it mean I'm going to be 100% accurate? No. It's just kind of little tidbits that I picked up on, and I'm trying to think the way Kyle Shanahan would normally think and how he would attack. But Kyle Shanahan is an absolute wizard, and he's going to have all kinds of cool stuff. But this is just some tidbits that I picked up on. So coaching staff, of course, we know for the Rams, Sean McVay. And McVay is one of the best offensive minds in the league. His use of 11 personnel definitely revolutionized the game way back in 2017, 2018. Got Cooper Kupp really going in that offense. And he's continued to rely on 11 personnel more than any other coach in the entire league. And right now, the Rams are running 11 personnel 98% of the time. So that means 98% of the time, the Rams are putting you in your sub package or your nickel package and getting you out of your base set. So for some teams, that's a 3-4. For others, like the 49ers, that's a 4-3. So you're having to rely on a nickel corner. For the 49ers, I'm not sure that is a big weakness when you have Deommodore Lenoir playing on the inside. Now, we did bring up that Charvarius Ward is a little nicked up, and we still expect him to play. But if he does not, who plays on the outside when Deommodore Lenoir goes inside is a little bit of a question mark. You're going to have Renardo Green, who got some snaps last week against Minnesota. Kyle Shanahan said they're going to continue to work in Renardo Green and work in Malik Mustafa some to continue to get them reps. I think they're trying to make sure they have the depth down the stretch. But if the 49ers do not want to go with a young rookie this early in the season getting significant snaps. They have veteran Rock Yassin as well. So they could go Isaac Yedem and Rock Yassin on the outside if Charvarius Ward's not able to go. Expectation, Mooney Ward still goes. They play Isaac Yedem on the outside with Lenore sliding inside on nickel. And you're going to see that grouping a ton because of Sean McVay. Now, one of Kyle Shanahan's old buddies is Mike LaFleur, and he's going to be coaching along Sean McVay. So he has a basic understanding of Kyle Shanahan's offense. I mean, Sean McVay does as well. And so LaFleur will be assisting Sean McVay. But McVay's handling play calling duties. I just wanted to throw out there that Mike LaFleur is a part of this coaching staff. Now, the new defensive coordinator, Chris Shula, took over for Raheem Morris, who is now the Atlanta Falcons head coach. And Shula has been within this system and with the Rams for a while. And he's coached with several good coaches, including Wade Phillips. He coached with the 49ers, Brandon Staley, and then, of course, was under Raheem Morris as well. So an internal hire for Sean McVay, the same way that Kyle Shanahan had an internal hire with Nick Sorensen. Now, the difference is Chris Shula's been there for a long time. He's seen the makeup of this defense adjust from Wade Phillips over to Brandon Staley and then to Raheem Morris. It's all a little bit different. Each incarnation was different, but he's learned it all. And he's coached at all three levels as an assistant coach, and he's a pretty good coach. He would have been in line to potentially be a 49ers defensive coordinator if they wouldn't have promoted from within. And if Sean McVay would have went out and got somebody outside the organization, Shula was somebody that was mentioned. Of course, Shanahan's going to call plays on offense, and then Nick Sorensen on defense for the 49ers. And I think people have question marks about Sorensen. I'm not as concerned as most. I thought he was good against the Jets. I thought that there were a couple of calls here and there and a couple of alignments that got him into trouble last week. I think he learned from those, and now he can go ahead and fix those, including having two safeties on Justin Jefferson. I doubt he'll ever do that again. But I think we got to give him the opportunity to take a couple lumps. I also believe that there was some lack of execution that made some of his calls look a little bit worse than they were. He had bad calls, but he also had some really good ones. That lack of execution held the 49ers away from being able to get those things done. So like the coaching staffs for both, and of course, Brandon Staley, he was the defensive coordinator in Los Angeles with the Rams in 2020. He understands Sean McVay from their inner workings. So we'll see what he adds to this mix as well. Pretty much Kyle Shanahan and his coaching staff have done really good against the Rams almost the entire time they've been able to get their roster together and be good. Basically, since 2019, it's been tough for the Rams to beat the 49ers, and we'll see what Brandon Staley adds to that. So what do the 49ers need to do game plan-wise to attack this Rams? Well, first off, you have to start with the running game. You're missing Debo. You're missing McCaffrey. You're missing George Kittle. You've got to make sure you get Jordan Mason going downhill and you're able to attack this Los Angeles Rams defense. And why is that so important? Well, first off, it takes the pressure off your playmakers to make plays. It also takes the pressure off your offensive linemen in pass pro sets. So that's going to be huge. But also, just when you look at a weakness of the Los Angeles Rams defense, it is in stopping the run. They give up 197 yards per game right now. That's the season average. That is crazy. They give up 5.5 yards per carry on the ground, and they've played Detroit and they've played Arizona. Both teams run the ball well, but those numbers are huge. And the 49ers are averaging 141 yards per game on the ground without Christian McCaffrey. This lines up to be a game where the 49ers go, you know what? We need to take it and shove it down their throat and make this easier on Brock Purdy. So you see where you've got a real strength. You've got Colt McKivitz, who's blocking as the 8th best run blocking tackle in the league. So you got Trent Williams at number 2, Colt McKivitz at number 8. That's pretty darn good. And so when you look at the 49ers, when it comes to their offensive line and their grades, they all are run blocking really well. I think the weakest of the run blockers for the 49ers offensive line, no, it's not Jake Brendel. He's 17th best amongst centers. It's actually Dominic Pooney, which isn't a huge surprise considering we knew that Chris Foerster talked about the fact Pooney's run blocking was going to be the one thing that needed to get a lot better. He was really good in pass protection. The 49ers have some opportunities here to be able to run the football against the Los Angeles Rams. And how do you run the football against a 3-4 defense that's going to have 3 defensive linemen down, and then the 2 edge defenders, which are Jared Verse, Byron Young? How do you get a run game going against that 7-man box, which I think it's going to end up being an 8-man box? I know that they've been running a lot of 2 high safeties this year, but it hasn't been working. I expect for Chris Shula to change things up against Kyle Shanahan, and Shanahan's going to look to run a lot of 21 personnel, 12 personnel, and 22 personnel, heavy sets, keep the Rams in base, and I think that's going to make one of those safeties come up. It would be probably very smart for them to go ahead and put a guy like Cameron Kitchens in the box in his first potential start with the Rams and let him play the run. So 49ers, how do you do it? Well, first off, you're going to get movement on those edge outside linebackers. So in the 3-4, both of those guys are going to be at the line of scrimmage outside of your tight end or outside of your tackle. And what you want to get is not allowing them to set a hard edge. If they can establish a hard edge, then you have less room to be able to run on the interior with the 3 down linemen, the 2 linebackers up. It leaves you less space to run the football. This is a carbon copy of what Bill Belichick did to the Rams in the 2018 Super Bowl, where he played those 5-man fronts and he absolutely just loaded up and made them stop their outside zone. But what Kyle Shanahan has done when he's seen the same fronts is use his tight ends, use his fullbacks, and use his tackles to get a big move with that edge defender. He'll send 2 guys after him, get them moving really strong, and then work up to the second level. It has been successful for the 49ers. They've also went to an ace formation and sent Jawan Jennings in motion and allowed him to kick that guy out. So getting movement on Jared Verse and Byron Young on the edge is going to be huge. It's going to be easier to get movement with Young than Verse. Verse is a little bit better at it. But both are opportunities for the 49ers to get movement and then create run lanes off tackle. This is something they've consistently done over the last several years, and I expect the 49ers to do that. So Juice, the tackles, and the tight ends have got to get movement on Jared Verse and Byron Young to get this run game going and be aggressive. The big difference between 49ers playing Rams this year compared to years past, of course, no Aaron Donald. You're not game planning for number 99. So it's a little bit easier for the 49ers. I wouldn't say that they have great linebacker play with the Rams, so taking advantage of Reeder and Roseboom is going to be what the 49ers have to do. Put the onus on them to get to that outside run. And when I'm saying outside, I don't mean a toss play out around the edge. I mean inside of that outside linebacker and off tackle. So basically where the offensive tackle would be, that is your target lane for Jordan Mason in this 49ers running game. Now, once you establish the running game with Jordan Mason, and I expect the Rams to do everything they can to take away this run game, including bringing up the safety and having 8 men in the box, because they know the 49ers are going to be lacking with some of the weapons they normally have. Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, those guys usually open up the offense a little bit. Without that, I think they are going to try to pack the middle of the field with extra defenders to stop the run and also to try to take away some of the passes that Brock Purdy likes to make over the middle of the field. So how do you counteract that? Well, once you establish a run game and you get those linebackers having to bite on the run fakes, so once they're coming up really hard, they're going to create a void in the middle of the field. And if that safety is having to come up into the box and engage in the run game, he's going to be somebody that also is going to come up when you go play action. And what you're trying to do with play action is create a void between the linebackers and the safety. And so if they're too high safety, right, they can put another safety in the middle of the field and run a robber concept and take away crossers. That's what a lot of teams have been doing. But if they have to commit that second safety to the box to help take away the run, and you can get a good play action fake, you can find room behind the linebackers for Jawan Jennings, for Chris Conley, for Brandon Ayuk, for Eric Saubert. There's going to be players that can get into that void and make key catches for this 49ers offense. So it starts with establishing the run game and then running play action. The 49ers haven't done it a lot. I think they're around 13% on the season as far as their total number of pass plays being play action. This is a week to bring it back. But Jordan Mason and the run game have to get going to make the play action game work. And so I look for the 49ers to do that in this game, and that will really help. And it's going to be a lot of heavy packages. Get used to seeing Kyle Juszczyk on the field in 21 personnel. That's 2 running backs, 1 tight end. But I think we'll also see some Jake Tunges in this game as well. Jake Tunges and Eric Saubert lining up in 2 tight end sets, whether that's 12 or 22 personnel, and just making it a little bit more difficult for this Rams defense to load up. And I think the 49ers could probably go ahead and impose their will. So we know that with the Rams running more single high safety, that's going to leave some holes and also changes in what coverage they can run. But it's going to be about Brock Purdy coming to the line of scrimmage and recognizing if he's got single high or double high safety this week. If he's got single high safety and you've got you don't have an advantage when it comes to left side of the line or right side of the line, then that's a good opportunity to go ahead and throw the football. You're going to have some matchups you like with Jawan Jennings and Brandon Ayuk out on the outside. I like them against the corners. I know Tre'Davious White has been great in the past, but he's definitely not been the same since he got to LA with all the injuries that happened in Buffalo. But you've got Kobe Durant, who's been dealing with an injury, and he hasn't been the same guy. They've got a lot of young players. They re-signed Ahkello Witherspoon. There's advantages for the 49ers on the outside. And so reading a single high safety look, if you have an advantage in the run game, left or right. So my example is, let's say they have an 8-man box, but they have the linebackers shading to the strong side of your formation. You might be able to run weak side against it, or maybe they're shading to the weak side. You can run strong side. So just because it's a single high safety doesn't mean you can't run the football. It just means you have to be particular about your read of where guys are positioned and where linebackers are at, and if you can manipulate them with motion and with shifts. But if you get a too high safety look this week against the Rams, absolutely check to a run play. Now, I know 3rd and 9, you're not going to check to a run play. I'm talking about 3rd and manageable, even 2nd and 4. You get them in a too high safety look. Check to that run play. Get Jordan Mason the football. That's advantage 49ers. Those are the advantages you're looking for. So Brock Purdy's reads at the line of scrimmage are going to be huge this week, and they could take advantage of it. Now, Eric Saubert and Juice are going to have to be effective in the passing game. Talked about Brandon Ayuk and Jawan Jennings. They're going to seek a lot of attention. But with you running so many heavy sets, you need Kyle Juszczyk to be a weapon this time. He's got to be able to find opportunities and beat Roseboom and beat Reader for good looks out of the backfield. And even when he's playing as an off-ball move tight end, sometimes they'll line him up outside shade as a wing next to Saubert, and he's got to be able to create an opportunity to get open. Saubert as well. And we saw him down the stretch last week, albeit in 2-minute offense, be able to find some open situations to get the ball. But he's got to present himself well. He's got to get open. And if you're going to succeed with play action, Saubert's going to have to make some catches. He's going to have to go ahead and set himself apart from what we were getting from Charlie Warner in the past. So Saubert got to be more dwelly in pass plays this week than he was as far as and then blocking, he's got to be like Warner. So he's got a dual role this week, but Saubert, that's why the 49ers got him, because he's a very good player. Now, a wrinkle just watching the Rams defense that I could see the 49ers putting in, and it could be a lot of fun in this game, is using Isaac Guerendo in some 2-back sets and getting Guerendo around the outside and able to throw a little swing pass to him in space where he can use that dynamic speed and his big body to get some extra yards. Let's see if the 49ers add that into the wrinkle outside of those outside linebackers, Verse and Young, and get it out there where he can go ahead and make a play. But also Jacob Cowing. I don't think we're going to see the 49ers in a lot of 11 personnel, but when they do, use Jacob Cowing to get the ball out in space and see what he can do with the football. I don't think it's going to be a lot of snaps for Jacob Cowing. I think it's going to be a handful at most on the offensive side of the ball. John Lynch kind of alluded to that on KNBR, but I do think there's an opportunity to get him some screens, and one of those swings is what I love. Get him going in motion like they do with Debo and an orbit motion behind the quarterback, then snap it. Have Jordan Mason or Kyle Juszczyk lead and go ahead and get him the ball out in space on a swing. It's like a screen and let him create. I think that could be a way to get his feet wet and involved in this offense and not lose everything that you normally have with Debo. That's part of the reason you got Cowing. He can handle that portion, a Ray McLeod type role for him in this game. And another thing you don't have to worry about as much, even though I do think there'll be a little bit of an uptick this week because the Rams have to do something about it. But the Rams have only blitzed 14 times the entire season. Last week, the 49ers faced a blitz over 50% of snaps. It's a lot different for Chris Shula's defense. So 49ers, they know they're going to get some timely blitzes, but 7 in week 1, 7 in week 2. I expect a little bit of an uptick, but how much is that going to be? 10? 12? I don't think they completely double this thing. So it'll be a little bit of a different look for the 49ers when it comes to offense and blitzing. Now on defense, they have to make the Rams one-dimensional. They have to go in and stop Kyren Williams. And right now, the Rams haven't been effective on the ground. They rush for 68 yards per game, which is crazy considering Kyren Williams last year was running for 100 yards, it seemed like every single week, and gave the 49ers fits in their matchup down the stretch last year. But this year they've been ineffective. And of course, a lot of it has to go to that offensive line that's completely beat up. But the 49ers have leaked oil in week 2 when it came to run defense. The Vikings were double teaming at the point of attack, double teaming both tackles and getting movement. So the 49ers need to make sure they stop the run on early downs and earn the right to rush the passer on third. So that's going to be a key in this football game. And we know it's going to come down to not just Fred Warner and Devondre Campbell, but those defenders, Talanoa Hufanga making his return. Of course, he'll be on a pitch count, we heard. And also a guy like Deommodore Lenoir that's got to fit in his run fits and help out a lot. So we've got a good matchup here for the 49ers. When you look at the Rams blocking wide receivers, their best blocking wide receivers are hurt. Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. They don't have Tyler Higbee, but Kobe Parkinson's a good blocker. So give credit to Kobe Parkinson. But I think in this matchup, the 49ers should be able to slow up the run game of the Rams. I look for the Rams to be diligent in trying to get it going because they know they need to get it going. But Hufanga, Demo, and Jair Brown got to help when it comes to run fits. Expect the Rams to run a quick passing game and try to take the pressure off their offensive line. Matthew Stafford, especially against Detroit, try to get rid of the football quickly. Get the ball out. Quick slants, quick outs, swing pass, check down. Get rid of the ball and don't allow the defensive pass rush to get there. If I expect them to employ the same sort of game plan, all out week 2 last year, Matthew Stafford had great success in week 2 against the 49ers. 49ers did a good job tackling in space, but don't allow Matthew Stafford to get in a rhythm and allow him just to get these 5, 6, 4, 3, 2, 5. Don't allow him to do that with the football. Make him hold on to it a little bit. I expect them to work in bunch sets. We've seen the 49ers struggle with bunch sets against the Jets. They struggled with bunch set last week against Minnesota. They're going to have to prove that they can overcome it. And one of the ways that you can get some free releases for your wide receivers is to go into bunch. And I expect them to want to get a free release for a speedster like Tutu Atwell. And I know Demarcus Robinson, Jordan Whittington, these guys are going to be impactful. But Tutu Atwell is going to have an opportunity in this game to create some separation and maybe have some plays down the field. But they're going to be running a lot of mesh concepts too. That's what they did in Detroit. Mesh is when you're sending guys across the middle and they're crossing paths and they're trying to mess up your man coverage. So I'm really curious how Nick Sorensen and this 49ers defense operates with obvious formations and obvious route concepts that should be tough to stop with man coverage if they stick with their man coverage or if they're willing to check out of man coverage and go to zone like I believe they should. Let's see what he does. It's okay to stay in man sometimes, but I think there's sometimes that those certain formations are just problems for man coverage. And I know the offense wants you to check out. Sometimes you have to give them what they want and then just play good coverage behind it. So those mesh concepts, getting the ball out quickly, I think is going to be one of the keys for Matthew Stafford in this game. Expect to see screens. to wide receivers and running backs. It's just a part of that quick passing game. Get an alignment you like, match up 3 offensive players on 3 defensive players, quick throw, eliminates any chance of pressure from the 49ers defensive line, and is basically an extended run play. That's how they've had their success with getting extra yards, is these extended run plays, because they haven't been able to get Kyren Williams going, and I expect to see that. I also expect to see them running screens to running backs. This has been a problem for the 49ers. 49ers last week got screened a few times, got about 38 yards on the screens. Actually, 49ers played it well. Javon Hargrave had a really nice play on one of those, but expect that. They want to take advantage of your aggressiveness, and one of the ways to do that, invite you upfield, and then make the play on the screen pass. And we've seen the Rams have great effectiveness with the screen against the 49ers defense in the past. 49ers need to play tight coverage and make Stafford hold on to the ball. So last year, it was all about in the first half. They were playing off coverage, just letting him complete it. And they kept expecting his accuracy to diminish. It did not. And he was picking them apart in the first half. Second half, they made it a little bit tougher. They made it a little bit harder on the Rams offense. They played tighter coverage. I think they need to come out in this game and force the Rams playmakers to beat them. There's no Cooper Kupp. There's no Puka Nacua. Force these guys to win down the field vertically. Force them to beat you in coverage. And I think the 49ers take away the easy throws early, force Matthew Stafford to hold on the football, and give Nick Bosa, who I expect to play, a chance to get after the quarterback. Hargrave, and Malik Collins, and, of course, Leonard Floyd, who's going to want to get after his old team. You just got to give those guys an opportunity. And I think that's one of the ways you do, is play it a little bit tighter. Do they have a guy like Tutu Atwell that can smoke you deep? Yeah, they do. But know who you're going against. Know what concept you're going to get from different looks. What kind of drop you're getting from the quarterback. 3-step drop, it's coming out quick. Let's drive on the football. 5-step drop, it's probably a little bit more intermediate. 7-step drop, it's something down the field. Being able to watch how quickly Matthew Stafford gets into his drops and what the drops are when you're playing zone should give you an idea of depth of what the route's going to be. So that's something to see what they do. And then when you get them to 3rd and long, and it's inevitable you're going to get some 3rd and longs. The 49ers have been absolutely bad on 3rd down. We'll talk about that in a second. Bring blitzes. Be aggressive. Matthew Stafford is a statue in there. I know he can move a little bit, but he's not the same athlete he was earlier on in his career, even a couple years ago. Go get him. Go get Matthew Stafford. So I'm excited about that. Now, through 2 weeks, the Rams offensive line has a PFF grade of 29.2. So just for reference, the 49ers are 17th in the league as far as a PFF grade for their offensive line in pass protection. And pass protection is the weakness of the 49ers offensive line. Their run blocking is phenomenal. And the 49ers are at 66.1. 29.2 for the Rams. That's how historically bad they've been right now. The team that's right above them at 31 is the Seahawks, and they're at 53.3. So, just pointing out 2 NFC West teams really struggling on O-line there. But the fact that there's such a huge gap between 31 and 32 is crazy. The Rams have been really, really bad. 49ers got to take advantage of it. They've got to get up the field. They've got to put pressure with Bosa and Hargrave and those guys. And they've got to bring blitzes. They've got to get the ball out of Stafford's hands. And they've got to put the onus on those wide receivers. Demarcus Robinson, Jordan Whittington, Tutu Atwell. Make them go out there and prove it. Oh, and I forgot one of my favorite guys, Tyler Johnson. I've liked him for a while. So put the onus on them. Make them pay when they catch the ball. Don't let them get any extra yards. So I think that's the key on defense. Now, when it comes to 3rd down efficiency, neither one of these teams have been good. And when it comes to the season percentage for the 49ers, they convert at 34% on 3rd down. Now, last week was definitely not their best, 2 of 10. The week before, they were 46% against the Jets. This defense is more Jets-like than it is Vikings-like. And you're going to get the shell coverages, the base principles. You're going to see cover 3. You're going to see cover 4, Palms coverage. And so it's not going to be a big difference for Brock Purdy from what he sees day in and day out at practice and what he saw from the Jets. Vikings was an anomaly. So hopefully the 49ers are better on third down, because last week was dreadful. Rams on third down, 30%. Haven't been effective on first and second down. No running game. You don't have your big guys to make the catches. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Tyler Higbee. Those are third down monsters. Don't have them. Been a struggle for Matthew Stafford. Lots of third and longs this year. They need to get that number up if they're going to be able to convert on the 49ers. But the defenses for the 49ers and Rams, not good. 49ers giving up third down conversions at 59%. Ridiculously bad. Just ridiculous. And it was 60% against the Jets. The fact that they were actually a little bit better last week against the Vikings, it wasn't good. We saw down the stretch they couldn't get off the field on third and long. But the Rams defense, 54%. Neither one of these teams are very good right now on third down. It's been bad. And so 49ers need to get back to their ways. Last year for the season, they were 47% converting on third down. That's where they need to get it. When it comes to defense, they need to get this thing under 40%. They need to play a lot tighter and a lot tougher. That's why I'm calling for them to bring blitzes, generate pressure. And then once you've done it a little bit, then you can simulate pressure. Act like you're showing guys in the A-gap, drop them off. Keep Matthew Stafford off balance a little bit. He's still going to be able to figure out at most. He's really intelligent. He's got the arm and everything. But if you can have him hesitate a half a second, a full second, could give you the opportunity to get what you want done. And, of course, make him hold the football. Now, let's talk about red zone offense. 49ers right now at a 44% TD rate. That means 44% of the time that they're in the red zone, they're going to score a touchdown. It's not terrible, but they could definitely get better at that. You look at the Rams, and they were at 37% as far as their TD rate for the season. So right now, both of these teams aren't as effective in the red zone as they want to be, but the 49ers are a little bit more. You look at red zone defense, the 49ers are giving up touchdowns at 60% of the time. So if you get into the red zone against the 49ers, you have a 60% chance of scoring a touchdown right now. And we saw last week that part of the reason this isn't 80% is because Fred Warner makes plays in the red zone. Interception, knocked the ball out right from Aaron Jones on the fumble. So that's a big reason why. This could easily be a lot higher. So 49ers got to get better in red zone defense. Third downs, red zone defense, both need to get better. Now, they did have some moments last week. After the punt block, they did hold up for and cause a field goal. Down the stretch of the last drive, they were able to hold up for a field goal. But it's still, you got to get a lot better. Rams, they're giving up touchdowns on 62%. So if you get into the red zone on the Rams, you have a really good chance of scoring a touchdown. Both these teams need to get a lot better on third down in the red zone. It's just really not that good. Now, of course, you got to win the time of possession if you're the 49ers. They did a really good job against the Jets. And you've got to make sure you do it in this one. The turnover battle is going to be huge as well. Both of these teams have turned it over twice during the season. And Matthew Stafford and Brock Purdy have both thrown an interception each. The 49ers have gotten more takeaways. Fred Warner, 3, and DFF 1. So the linebacker room, give Demo a little bit of credit for helping cause that. But linebackers for the 49ers, 4. Rams have 2 on the season, so 49ers double them up. 49ers have a +2 turnover differential where the Rams have 0. So the Rams, it's not turnovers that are ultimately ending them. It's just inconsistent play, but it's definitely not something that they're doing at a high level right now. And the 49ers need to make sure, that they keep this in the plus category. You win the turnover battle, you usually win games. So what are keys? Win on third down, conversion rate, be good. On defense, get off the field, cause turnovers, win the time of possession, and normally you win the football game. But now it's time for the Wow That's Bold predictions, brought to you by 49erscutbackshop.com, where you can get all of your 49ers cutback merch and 49ers inspired merch. Go check it out. Link is in the description section down below. Let's get to that Wow That's Bold prediction.
Wow, that's really bold. Whoa.
It's got to be really bold. It's got to be whoa. So last week I called for a Fred Warner interception, and I called for a Fred Warner sack. Interception, check. Sack did not happen. I called for a Kyle Juszczyk touchdown. Didn't happen. I called for an Ayuk touchdown. Didn't happen. So it wasn't my best day offensively. Defensively, though, it went pretty good when it came to my Wow That's Bold predictions. And I still keep calling for Brandon Ayuk to get touchdowns, even though he's not going to be in the Wow That's Bold prediction this week. So I'm calling for Jawan Jennings to get his first start of the season and his first touchdown. I think Brock Purdy's going to find him for a touchdown in this game. It's going to be a very pivotal play in the matchup. And for the second week in a row, even though it didn't happen last week, I'm not deterred. Kyle Juszczyk's going to get a touchdown. I talked about him and Eric Saubert needing to be impactful in his football game. I think there's going to be an occasion down in the red zone where they think that Kyle Juszczyk is coming up to make a block on a play action. He's going to get into the flat. Brock Purdy's going to find him with the football. Jawan Jennings touchdown. So Jennings, Juszczyk with their first touchdowns of the season. That's what I'm calling my offensive Wow That's Bold predictions. On defense, of course, I'm going with Fred Warner. Fred Warner, he keeps the turnover train rolling, and he gets another turnover. I'm not saying it's going to be an INT or a fumble caused, but I think he's going to get it. He's going to get it done. Fred Warner is just different. This is a different animal, and I think he's going to make a play in this game that's going to be pivotal for the 49ers. Fred with the turnover. And then with all the talk that's going on, it's interesting that this is the prediction I'm going with, but I got Javon Hargrave getting his first sack of the season. Last week, he had Sam Darnold in the backfield, made a tremendous play. Darnold was able to get free, and of course, Gross Matos ends up getting the sack. But I expect this time Hargrave's going to get home on Matthew Stafford. I think we're going to get some edge pressure. I think with some of the injuries, they're going to double team Javon Hargrave a lot in this football game. But he's going to get a couple of opportunities where he's one-on-one, and I'm hoping it's because the 49ers are bringing an aggressive blitz. He gets home and he gets a sack, and Hargrave gets it going. And I think that would be huge for him and for this 49ers defense. And now it's time for the score prediction. This is a tough one. You know, you got injuries on both sides, but I think when you look at the matchups and you look at the teams and who's out, I think both teams are missing key players, but I think the 49ers having continuity along the offensive line, having a very healthy defense, I think they got enough with Jordan Mason to be able to run the football on a bad Rams rush defense. I think that's going to be a big reason why I think Brock Purdy's going to be very successful getting the ball to key players through play action plays. And I think the 49ers are going to do just enough. Actually, I have the 49ers winning by 10. It's not just enough. It's a little bit more than that. I got them winning 27-17. I think Matthew Stafford will still make some plays, and it might be less than 17, but you know, I'm kind of leaving it erring on the side of caution because I don't know exactly how 49ers are going to play defense this week. I think they're going to play well. I'm hoping they play aggressive and attack. Hey, if you give up a touchdown because you were aggressive in attack, I'm okay with that. So that's what I got. Let me know in the comment section. What's your Wow That's Bold predictions? What's your score prediction for this game? I'm really, really curious because 49ers got to get a big win. Go 1-0 in the division. They haven't lost in the NFC West, you know, in a game that they're trying to win, right? Last year they lost to the Rams in Week 18, but I was at that game. We played Sam Darnold. We played all of our backups, and we lost by, I think it was 1 point or whatever it was. So it was just a different game. The Rams played their backups as well. The 49ers don't normally lose divisional games. They need to win this one. It's going to be important. 49ers go to 2-1. They right the ship. If the Rams go to 0-3, that's really bad. Now, if the Rams get the win and go to 1-2, and the 49ers go to 1-2, that's going to hit off some alarms for 49er fans. So I don't think that's going to happen, though. 49ers are getting the win on this one. I feel really confident about it, and that's what I like to see from them. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're listening to audio platform, 49ers Cutback on Believe. Please give it a 5-star rating. This episode is brought to you by Bet Online. The game starts here. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Until then, stay safe. Remember, the right way is always the 49ers way.